everybody. So I want to do a run through of my practice routine for the French style, especially the inegality and flattement. So the way I understand inegality is the first note is longer than the second if you're starting on the beat, and when you're starting off beat, the first note will be short and the next note will be long. Long, long, short, long, short, long, short. The way my teacher explained it to me was thinking a slight lilt or swing like in jazz. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 da, 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 da. And the way she understands the turu what the teacher describes is the ru is not actually a R sound, it's more like a soft T. So you'll be thinking of or tonguing do 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 do. If you understand it differently or have it explained to you in a different way, I'll be very interested to know how you do that. Okay, so I had trouble getting the longer note long enough, so I actually use my metronome in triplets. So I'll show you what I do. I'll put it on triplets, and I'll tongue on each note. Do 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 do. So two will start with a D and one with a T. And then I can also switch it around, like you'll get it on the off beat. Do 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 do. Okay, and obviously everything is faster, so my main method is practicing at 110, and then after I've done it on a one note for a while, I start using it in a scale. So fast and this is too fast for me this morning. I have to do it a bit slower. It's also very difficult to get quite clean because you play this one note faster than the rest, and you get some coordination difficulties. It has done me very well, but I'm not there yet. Okay, I'm going to switch it around. I'm going to start off beat. and I leave it there. I don't start playing the normal inequality just straight off. Then I would go to Preludes by Holterter. I'm using, I think this is the short edition. I only got the photocopy, so I'm not sure. Let me find one that's going to use this. So I'm using number 2. And then I practice the inequality, the parts that are using inequality in the prelude on the same way. I do this without the metronome. I'm not sure why. So this is very tricky to get nice and clean. Okay, and then I'll use a different part. This is not clean. And so forth. And then I actually play through the piece with the inequality. Now the problem I had is my teacher says I sound too double dotted when I'm playing the inequality. So I try to listen back and see if I can find out what I'm doing wrong. So if you get any tips, I've got any tips for me. Not in the places I use my inequality, but whether my inequality actually sounds inegal. Because the way she described it as thinking 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, having practiced the actually gets that stuck in my head somehow, but I'm not sure if this is getting across. Okay, for the Flatema, I just came up with the idea of using a stress ball, and first practicing a bit more of gross motor skills, so making the movement bigger, like this first, to get the circular motion, because you don't really use the circular motion anywhere else in real life, except for scratching yourself, perhaps. The stress ball is a bit sticky, so this is not working as well as I wanted. Actually, other thing I'm using is practicing on your arm like this, because cellists actually use their arm to practice their vibrato. It would be the other hand, but just to get the circular motion going, and then doing one finger at a time. And you do use your small finger, so I can probably do my small finger as well. And doing in groups, something like that. I haven't been doing this, I just thought of this might help. Perhaps with the other hand. And all of them at once. Smaller groups, one at a time, so forth. Okay, so if you have any tips on practicing the Flatema, it will be greatly appreciated, because everybody just show you, okay, this is what you do basically, this is the holes you do it on, but nobody says how to actually build it up and yeah, practice it. Okay, so what I usually do, I've got this list by my teacher who goes through everything, so I can probably go through that. This is probably just my teacher's interpretation, so if you've got numerous other ones, it's probably fine, but I'm going to stick with my teacher's list. So start at the bottom ones I don't really use. I start at A, and I've got this going. So I made this list for myself. I can practice it slow, just slow. I can go slow and faster. And I can start fast and go slower. Okay, B flat will be this finger, so I'm just going to do that kind of motion. So it is supposed to be slower than a trill, I understand, but how fast do you get? And obviously different people do it at different depths, if you could say, to let the pitch fall further than others. Of course, when you're just starting, I think you should train your ear to actually hear them, because I was doing them too small for some time, and because I've had my lessons online, my teacher couldn't hear the Flatema. So I started doing it bigger, and now I hear people say I'm overdoing it. So I'll just have to find the safe middle ground. Okay, let's see what's next. B and C uses the fourth finger now. This has been quite contradictory, because my teacher first told me to pull away, and then she told me to push, and actually concert counselors also describe it as a push. And this is a D, Marlene. Ai, tochie. C. I'll use it on a B. Sorry, I wasn't thinking. And you'll also use this on high C and high B. And then there's the one that I'm using that's using 3 fingers. And on my video I saw I was doing this with my fingers this flat. I don't know why. I should be practicing to keep them quite round. If you do them flat, well, it will be interesting to hear. Or using the joints of your fingers rather than the pads. So on the moment, I'm working on the movement, not as much as the sound. So I should be concentrating on the sound a bit more. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Would you work on this the same way as would you when you start using trolls and other ornaments? Just go slowly at first, do this figures sort of, and it will improve with time, I guess. Okay, and then the other thing I would do is then after I've practiced the ones I would find in a piece, I will go through them. So this is Modere number 1. And as the concert counselor says, you should use a metronome because you're so busy with the movement that you forget to count. Okay, so that's been my French style practice routine. If you have any tips, it will be greatly appreciated.